Says we're here. Says we're here.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know if I'm here until my existence is validated by others.
Well, actually, I know I'm here. I just don't know if I'm there.
But couldn't you be a figment of your own imagination? Could this not be a construct that you've built into your mind and it's not actually happening in actual real life, but in your imagination?
You take the red pill or the blue pill?
No, that now, unfortunately, has awful connotations on this damn internet. So, can't even say it anymore without it being, like, attributed to grotesque people on the internet. I know. Anyway, hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. This is our weekly live stream where we record our podcast, the audio version of which hits all major podcast apps every Friday. We are here 5 minutes early. If you are here for the live stream and don't like idle chit chat, you have a few minutes to do whatever. If you are here after the live stream, but before I put in timestamps and you don't like idle chit chat, fast forward by at least 5 minutes. My existence has been validated. I appreciate that. Thank you, Taishu. Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Silent. Okay, I'm going to say hi to folks. Hi, Kitty. Hi, Basie. Hi, Taishu. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Bunny. Hi, Silent. Hi, Jen. Hi, Dorina. Hello. That's all I got. I don't know. Hi, Apocalypse. So butt rub.
Yeah.
Is this the part where I can tell them that we thought we were recording a video and we were streaming into the nothing? We both didn't catch it.
No.
You were the button pusher, but I always look and I look for the little red record button, which of course we do not get when we're streaming. Our big fear was that somehow it had gone out somewhere, even though there's a whole mechanism where you hit the stream button on one thing and then I got to hit a stream button on another thing. But we still had that moment there where we were like, oh my God. And we just stream not just the informative part, but also the silly part at the beginning. And all the stuff that gets cut out of the video. No. But for anybody who cares, and I know most people will forget this by the time next Monday rolls around, that was good audio we recorded. If the video had been going, it would have been a good video. So what you're going to get, if you prefer the YouTube version, is a still image and our voices on Monday. I'm like, we're not redoing this video. What we said was good.
Yep.
At least in our opinion. So, Silent. The 2 brain cells were in... maybe what I did was I split the 2 brain cells. I gave one to Jimmy and I kept one. That's not enough. Or what I did is it's a little bit like an eraser on a pencil. I used them with what I had to do this morning.
They were on the charging station.
We forgot to plug in the charger, though. That was the problem. No, I did big thinking things and used my big brain before coffee today. Was it after I used my big brain, hit publish, got coffee, that then I found typos? And y'all, here's what ticks me off about typos. I almost never just send something out and haven't really given it at least a second look. These things I was giving like 5 looks to. I was reading it out loud to JB, like, this is a great way to edit, and also, does this make sense to you? Still found typos later. So annoyed. So annoyed.
Yeah.
No. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a morning.
It's not been a bad morning. Like,
No,
like last Wednesday, I was flustered. I'm hoping it's the only time this week, knock on wood, my day to be flustered was Tuesday afternoon, with which I finished what I was doing, did the thing that flustered me, and realized, nope, my will to work is gone. At least the thing that flustered me was personal and not professional. But I did. I got through those things and went, I'm done. I've got no more today. And actually, I apparently still need to track down something because at least one thing has not been addressed. And technically at least 2, because I haven't heard back from either doctor's offices at this point.
That's right. That's right.
So yay. Bunny, I could go for more coffee too. But
yes.
I don't know if JB could handle me with more coffee. We're hitting a point in the day that if I have more coffee now, we all pay for it later. I mean, does anybody really need me to get the zoomies at 10 o'clock at night?
No.
Y'all heard that emphatic no. Okay. It is 1 o'clock. We're going to go
Hello, everyone.
I was going to say the thing and then give you the time. We're going to go ahead and get started. Do you want to say it again? Are you good? You look like you're about to deep throat the microphone. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Well, the microphone might be, but the visual. I'm not opposed to the visual.
Anywho.
I hope you can kind of tell from the title what we're talking about today. Let's not make this a drinking game. Every time I say kink is customizable, but it is my new favorite saying. Y'all, I don't know how many times you've heard me say it, but I've said it many times. So let's talk about it. Part of a new series we're going to do that was inspired by this year's Dom Sub Dynamics Virtual Summit, because we were given 30 minutes to talk about a thing that is literally the basis of our entire podcast, 400 and episodes at this point. But, you know, we thought we'd expand on it, so we're starting that. Okay, if you enjoy this, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And ring that notification bell to get updates and new content.
Just do what Daddy says. Life is infinitely easier. I mean, might you still get a little annoyed? Sure. Might you be grumpy and maybe mutter under your breath? Of course. And will you be grumpy-er about the fact that he was right and you did the thing and your life is easier, or that you had to do a thing you didn't really want to do, but he's your daddy and so you were like, yes, I agree to this, and sure, fine. Does it matter? No. Your life is still a little easier. Anyway. I was going to say hit the button, but Miss Thing is like, no, I'm ready to stand at this doorway and consider whether I want to go out, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. I know that's what's happening. I can see it. It's coming. So.
It's written in the stars.
Mm-hmm. So now you can hit the buttons you need to hit. Okay, before we get into the topic, a couple of announcements, fairly quick. One, this Friday, don't ask me what the date is, 18th? Is April 18th?
Today is the 6th.
No, not today. This Friday is that April 18th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's our Friday night live stream on YouTube from 9:30 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern. Yes, it used to go longer. We're older. No, we're not doing it any sooner, because that means stuff does not get done that we need around our house. And also, we're still doing an extra long stream. And part of the reason we're tired is that was an extra long stream. There. Okay. Have I made you want to come to it now, or did I completely put you off? Anyway, yeah, YouTube, Friday. I believe that is April 18th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Come join us. Starting at 10 o'clock, we'll do a Q&A. If you're like, that is after my bedtime, or you're an international person who's like, I am asleep, that's like 2 a.m. for me. The video playback is available if you are interested. I have been told we are great background noise for cleaning your house. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can't watch live. Maybe you watch the next day and get your house cleaned. I wish I could find something that worked for that. Maybe I would clean more often, but probably not. The next announcement, very briefly, this week's episode, the new series that we're starting, all of it is inspired by the session we did for the Dom Sub Dynamics Virtual Summit. That's a very long title to say 18 times. Replays of that are available if you were unable to attend for free and you have the budget for it. We are not the only thing there. That we are just one little bit. There were 19 other sessions, so link is in the places if you're interested. Okay. There. Also, I did want to say to anybody who found us through the summit, didn't know we existed until then, we didn't scare you off then, we probably came across as a lot more professional than we do now. Welcome! I have received at least one comment on a YouTube video from somebody who was like, I found you through the summit and I'm so glad to be here. And I'm like, I keep forgetting to go reply to comments, but when I read them, I get very happy and jazz hands. Mm-hmm. So, thank you. Okay. So.
Okay.
Let's do the thing. Mm-hmm. Like a series we did, our Back to Basics series was last year. What is time? I don't know. This is one we'll do a few episodes of, and then we'll probably just add to the series sporadically, because there's so much to...
Yeah, it's a big topic.
It's a massive topic. Mm-hmm. It is literally the whole like crux of our professional kink life. It's what we do. It's who we are. And it's this idea of living your reality and with kink instead of trying to like twist yourself into knots to make your fantasy version in your head of kink a reality. I don't know how long ago it was, but we have done an episode on fantasy versus reality as it pertains to kink. I will link that in the places for anybody who may be interested. But I think I mostly wanted an excuse to finally just sort of like elaborate on the thing that I now say all the time, which is kink is customizable. It's personalizable. It is, I can't think of any other words. We'll start the drinking game now, I guess. When I say that, and have been saying that now for a while, what comes to your mind?
What comes to my mind? Any number of things. I mean, you can, there are so many different ways you can mix and match. Okay? Feel like I'm selling something here. You know, mix and match. You know, pick your own.
Buy one, get one free.
Yeah. And if you act before midnight tonight.
Ginsu knives.
Yeah.
For those of you who have a knife kink is all.
Yep. But I mean, yeah. I mean, there's so many ways.
It's
you can,
infinitesimal. Infinite? What's the word I want?
It pretty much. It's you know, and it's very personal.
Yes, and I think that's the big thing, because part of the thing about saying kink is customizable over and over again is for me, in the way my brain operates, it is the antidote to there's one true way, there's a right way, this is the way to do kink, because that's never true. It is anybody who says there's, you know, this is the right way, this is the true way, assuming that they are actually like living the thing they're trying to describe. A lot of people don't. They just try to sell you, you know, some magic beans. All they're saying is this is the way, the true way, the way that works for me in this moment in time. Because even for that person who is willing and able to follow whatever the air quote one true way is, I still don't know what it is, because everybody's got a different opinion of it. Let's just be real. Go talk to them a week from now, 6 months from now. They're not even living this anymore, assuming they were in the beginning. Because it is ever changing, and we've done the episode on it being a journey, and there always being something new to learn. The thing I find interesting about the one true way thing and the right way and all that bullshit that always annoys me, I understand it because humans do that. They try to create boxes, and they try to like air quote do the right thing, and then you can you know, the tribe will let you in, and right. But the thing is BDSM is literally about not conforming. It is literally about going against societal expectations and doing taboo things. And yet, too many of us twist ourselves into knots to do apparently what other people expect us to do in kink. And it's a bit of a mindfuck.
But you know what? When I first came into kink, into the community, I think without labels, I would have been lost.
Oh yeah, okay? For sure.
It would have been a lot harder to find my footing in the lifestyle without labels. Now, years down the road, are those labels still important to me? No. No.
And when we talk about the things that you can customize, labels is definitely on that list. I think that the reminder is, if you're going to make kink in whatever way you want to work for your real life, the real world, however you want to define that, you have to know that what you're going to do is create a power exchange, a dynamic, a relationship, a kink life that has to fit you in this moment right now, instead of doing that common but also frustrating thing of twisting yourself into knots, turning yourself inside out to fit somebody else's definition of what somebody once thought 30 years ago that kink was supposed to be, right? Like that's the thing that's going to set you back every time, because some people will be, that's the fan going, it's hot here, it's Florida. Some people will be able to follow those air quote rules, right? And they'll do fine until they don't. Something might feel a little off, something might feel like it's missing, but they can make it through until they hit a point where it doesn't work anymore. And now they're like, am I the broken one? Am I the one who doesn't know how to do kink? But quite frankly, plenty of other people will either completely reject that idea of the true way, the right way, heavy fucking air quotes, and, you know, think they're somehow doing it wrong, or think maybe kink isn't for them because they know from the start that, you know, stereotype or that somebody else's definition doesn't fit them.
Well, you know, one of the most common things I hear from folks, well, I'm a masochist, but I don't have a submissive bone in my body.
Right.
Or I'm submissive and I don't have a, you know,
but I don't like pain.
I'm not
really
masochist.
Yeah.
So, you know, do I fit in the community? Am I, you know, not really? And, you know, the answer is yeah, and you do.
Right, exactly. And you know, I think some folks are fortunate that they find a person who does not prescribe to one single way of doing this, and they can start from that point and eventually kind of learn the things they need to learn. And other people come across other resources where that is not the case. And then again, too many people are real quick to internalize, I'm wrong, I'm doing it wrong, because this arbitrary person who I don't actually know, they will never have a say over my life. Who the fuck are they, has told me I'm doing it wrong. I know that what we tend to be for folks is you've found the one true wayers, the right way people, the all that bullshit, and then you find us, and first there tends to be anger. Who is this bitch doing all the talking? How is she really submissive? And then it's a little bit of the stages of grief. Then there's some acceptance, maybe some bargaining in the middle. You know, I'll watch more if you talk less, something. But I know from getting messages that people will come across somebody like us, and it's not just us. Okay, there are plenty of other kinky people talking about it in the way we talk about it. And there's just a sense of relief. Like, oh, I thought I was all alone here. And I'm like, no, we're a small group over here in this corner of the internet, but come on.
Yeah.
We got room. You're definitely not alone.
And we have cookies.
I probably ate the cookie dough before I could make them into cookies, but sure. So, there's Lola. Before we get into the actual Kink is Customizable, let's break that down a little bit so that you can have a kink life that works in your real world. Let's let Lola in from the backyard. You're being a diva today, ma'am.
Yes, she is.
You're going to bring your stinky, sweaty dog self over here and make me smell stinky, sweaty dog sweat smell? Okay, so let's go into the Kink is Customizable.
Okay.
I made a list of things to consider, but as things come up, if you're like, ooh, let's talk about this, we shall. So let's start with the thing you brought up recently, labels and titles.
Yeah. Yeah. The titles, that's another thing too. You know, what do I call my person? What do I call my big D? What do I call my little S?
Who am I, and what label fits me?
And you know what? There again too, that is broad.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, from sir to coach to, you know, your lordship, you know, and anything like that.
It can literally be a made-up word that only makes sense to you and your partner.
Right.
And we've done this episode on labels and titles. And invariably, every time we get to this topic, there's somebody who is thinking to themselves and possibly typing it out as I speak, about how they hate labels, they don't want to use them. That is also a choice you get to make, right? My thing with labels is it gives us some common language to start from, some places to, you know, maybe a term or a label feels right, and you go down the path of figuring out what that means for you and in general. Sometimes you'll hear something and immediately reject it, but then later you'll learn the concept without the word and realize, hey, wait, I thought it meant this. It can mean that. We all have to start with a place of commonality with language, right? So words mean what they mean, but our interpretations are our own. It's why half of y'all will look at me and call me a brat, and I will meet you in an alley. No, I'm not. I don't know how to fight, but I'll figure it out. Because that is not a term or a label that I apply to myself, because I get to choose that. It's also, some people will call themselves a little and mean one thing, and somebody else will use that same term and mean something else. Now, part of what you need to do is kind of try to figure out the generally accepted definitions of a term before you make them your own, but you get to do that.
Right. And that's a good point. Yeah, you see what they actually, how they relate to you. But now, let's okay, somebody comes along and says, "Well, I'm a service submissive." Okay? And what that means to them is one thing. Next person that comes along says they're a service submissive means something totally different.
Absolutely.
And it goes same thing with the big D's.
Every label,
Yeah.
every title, every phrase. The thing that we as folks who are trying to navigate community, talk to other kinksters, need to get used to doing is sometimes you hear somebody's title or label and you go, I clock them, they're like me in some way, and you move on. And sometimes you're sitting at the munch and you get into a conversation about these things. If that opportunity arises online, in person, and now we're talking about our identities in kink, right? The labels we use, the titles we use, how we identify. The thing to get used to asking is, what does that look like for you? What does that mean to you?
Yes.
Because that can often be a huge wake-up call of, oh, we're using the same words, but we come at this from completely different angles.
Right.
And it's all valid. Because customizing kink from the words to everything else we're going to get into is based on who you are in this moment and the life you lead in this moment and the experiences you've had up until this moment. And then, so you craft the language for yourself that works for you right now. Cool thing is as you change and life changes and you get more experiences and you figure more stuff out about yourself and all of those things, you get to change the words you use.
True.
I was unironically little one. I have been pet. None of those work for me now. JB tried out princess on me today and I just went, no, I don't know what I am, but I ain't that. Okay. that one was not right. But even my reason to even bring that up is 12 years of a relationship. How does math work? 13 years? I don't know. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And he can still throw out a word for me and go, what do you think of this one? Does this resonate, right? We can still be shifting and adjusting and, adding nuance because we've learned and grown and experienced and gathered all of this information from the things we've done and people we've talked to and all of that. So, yeah, the labels, the titles, whatever you have today, you can use it for the rest of your damn life. You can also in 6 months go, that one doesn't work. I want to do this. And yes, you can reject all labels and titles. You do not have to use them. They are not required. And certainly, here's a little thing to slide in, because some people figure this out quickly and some people don't. You don't have to use terms that stereotypically align with specific genders. The sheer amount of femme people I have seen online who definitely go by daddy, and I'm like, that is daddy energy, and I'm here for it, right? Like, yes, terms are and can be gendered. Also, you get to go, yeah, I'm a femme presenting person. Normally somebody might say mommy, but I like daddy better. You get to do that. It's literally that personalized and customized. And as I said before, you also can just make up words. And I know that because in a couple episodes ago, I talked about an online resource I'd come across through Reddit of somebody who had made these monster lists of titles, honorifics, for both DOMs and subs. And monster list. And some are just the cutest little things. Some I'm like, I don't think that's technically a word, but who cares? It is now. We put the letters together and figured out a pronunciation. Ta-da, that's how words are made. And so I'll link to those in the places too for anybody who's still looking for the label or the title or the honorific that fits you. So what's the next thing on my list that's customizable? Your dynamic, which is your power exchange relationship.
Fascinating.
I know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
It's like flavors of ice cream.
And there's way more than 31, 33.
Yeah, I lost count with Baskin Robbins. I think it was Baskin Robbins.
Yeah. I think there used to be 33, and I guess shrinkflation, now there's 31. Maybe there's only 28 and a half now. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, it's all, yeah, what do you want it to be?
And part of that is, and I think it's my fellow anxious people and perfectionist people who go through this, but maybe others do too, of you knew a little bit about kink enough to go, hey, I think I want this dynamic. Mm-hmm. You do that dynamic, and either immediately or at some point you go, that doesn't fit. And too many of us go, I have failed kink. And then we're the SpongeBob and Patrick meme of them running around the Krabby Patty in a panic, right? Like, actually, no. You learn new things, and then you get to add that in, and you get to adjust. And ideally, if you are a person who is in a relationship with a person you would like to continue to be in a relationship with, they will adapt with you. They will adjust with you. My first thought when I think about how customizable a dynamic is, it's almost infinite. There's almost too much to say about it, but there is just some broad strokes. So there is the air quote typical. I don't even like typical. Yeah. The stereotype, I don't know, of it's a long-term relationship. It's probably romantic. It's probably sexual, assuming both partners, want and have sex with each other. And dom sub, and it's like fairly defined, and even from the outside looking in, most people will go, I think I know what that relationship is. That is so just one. Of course, there are switches, and one of you can be a switch, and both of you can be switches. I have not come across it a lot, but I know it exists. Both of you can be doms. Both of you can be subs. Now, will you have challenges? Of course you will. Yep. Will you hopefully figure it out? We hope so. But there's also not all power exchange, assuming you even want power exchange, has to be romantic. It doesn't have to be, God, please, it does not have to be sexual. Whew, if it had to be sexual, there was a very long period of time there, we would have been very dissatisfied. Mm-hmm. Because when neither of us was interested in sex for both physical reasons and emotional reasons and stress and anxiety and all the reasons you might one day want sex and then the next day not, we still had kink. We still had kink things we could do that were intimate. And sure, maybe one of us was turned on in the moment, but did not need to lead to sex for it to be a good time. You can be a person who is not in a relationship and you have friends who are kinky and you have established dynamics with them in some way, but it's not your end all be all. You can be long distance. God knows we all know that. And a long distance power exchange is completely different than an in-person power exchange, even if it's not romantic and sexual and you're not planning on getting married one day, right? So there's no, I'm kinky. I know I'm submissive, so I'm supposed to go find a dom. We're supposed to, move in together in about 6.5 months, and 2.2 years from now, we'll be married, and we'll... fuck that. What? Let me remind you, kink is supposed to fit into the life you have and the life you want. You are not supposed to twist yourself up and burn down your whole life to fit some sort of supposed air quote standard, big fat fucking air quotes, of whatever you think power exchange is supposed to be, or somebody has told you is the true way or the one way. It makes me want to gag every time. The thing is I don't even have enough imagination to give you a million examples of what a dynamic can look like. But every time somebody messages in, DMs, emails, whatever, and they're like, oh, well, we're only doing it this way, and I taught my partner, but they, submit, and are we doing it right? Are you both happy with what you're doing? Mm-hmm. You communicate clearly. Yep. There's clear, enthusiastic and informed consent, and you've assessed your risks. Right. You've done it right.
Nobody's getting hurt. Yeah.
You've done it right. Because truly, we've said this many times before. Let's say it again here. We used to say there's only 2 rules in kink, but I've since personally added a third because it does need to be thought about. You have to have consent. Mm-hmm. You have to communicate as effectively as you can. That will be a skill you probably have to learn, so you'll get better at it. And you have to assess for risks and mitigate them to the best of your ability. That I've started sort of adding on because too many people think that some kink is like has risks, but not all kink. All kink, every part of the kink spectrum, every little activity you can imagine under the that fall under the letters BDSM, everything has some level of risk. Some things will be less risky than others. The risks will present differently. They're not always physical harm. They can absolutely be mental and emotional harm. Everything in BDSM carries a risk. You have to assess for yourself and with a partner where your line is of like, yeah, there's risk there, but I'm good. We can move forward. And where your line is, nope, that's too far for me. Right? We all have them. That's how I feel about that. Well, do you agree? I've made up that there's 3 rules.
No, I do agree with that. I do agree. Sorry.
I just made it up on my own. I did not make up the fact that you need communication, consent, and risk assessment, but saying it here. There's 3 rules in that too. JB has walked away. I will wait for JB to get back before we get to the next thing. That is completely customizable. Annual power exchange.
Okay, sorry.
And that is who does what in the relationship. So now I'm coming at it from the perspective of long-term living together, because those are the activities I am most intimately involved with and can think of off the top of my head. But any way that you're pairing up, or more than pairing up, or living your kink life and the dynamics you choose to have with other people, this gets expressed in a lot of different ways. But the example I want to give here is that, yes, I am the submissive in this relationship. I am a service submissive, which just means I do a lot of things for my own like personal happiness, because it makes me happy to do it, and because JB said so and I agreed to it. But there's no standard for what that means. What that means in practice is JB abso-fucking-lutely washes laundry and washes dishes and cooks dinner. I don't take on all domestic chores because I'm a service sub.
No.
Right? If we were trying to raise small children, I'm so glad we're not trying to raise small children anymore. We would share that. There is no, you're the femme person, you're the submissive person, whatever. You have to do these things. Within your dynamic and within your life, with a relationship with a partner where you're going to interact enough that one of you takes on certain tasks and another one of you takes on other tasks, that is based on what you're willing to do, what you consent to. We do it based on who's got the skills, and these days we also add whose brain can handle this task better. Meaning, if it's too boring and I'm not getting enough dopamine from it, it's probably not the task for me to have to do consistently. That's why laundry gets washed on Sundays, but it's usually not folded till Thursday. Because we knew I couldn't wash the laundry because I'd walk away and forget it, and we'd wash it 5 times before it ever made it into a dryer. JB was like, I'll wash the laundry. I can do that. Cool. He's like, please don't make me fold. Cool. I can fold. And this was at a time when my hormone levels were like stabilized and I could remember. That's now different. See our past episode on perimenopause. It'll take me a few days to get to it, but I do it. We split. Tasks are not split along. My point is, tasks are not split along your dom sub line.
No.
There's nothing that a dom automatically does. There's nothing a sub automatically does.
Right. And there are things that I defer to you because you have more knowledge about that subject topic than I do. It freaks me
out when you're like, go ahead, take the lead, tell me what we're going to do. I will, because I know what I know, and let's do it right the first fucking time, but also it's still weird. But see, and that's the other thing, when we talk about there's nothing that doms always do and what subs always do, that is true, but those conversations completely leave out switches. Like, switches out here are like, well, sometimes I'm dom and sometimes I'm sub. What would that even mean if we followed that thinking that a dom always does this and a sub always does that? For any switches out there who've come across this thinking, I would be very curious to know what went on in your brain when you realize that people absolutely think that's what a power exchange is, and you're over here going, I know that's not how this works, right? So yeah, there's no standard in the roles that you accept for yourself. You're like, okay, yes, I'm submissive, and here's what that means to me. But that doesn't mean there's this checklist of things you're supposed to do that every sub does.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, if it was everything was the same, then we'd all be like Stepford DS.
Oh God, kinky Stepfords. Look, would I watch that movie? Yes. Would I want to live that life? No. You'd have to sedate me. I'd have to be drugged for that. Valium? I don't know. What do they use? I don't know. I'd have to be drugged to be a kinky Stepford wife. But, you know, when people are trying to figure out their kink life and they're looking at, air quote this, your regular life. For us, our kink life and our, quote, regular life, it's all one and the same. Other people differentiate it for themselves, and that's fine. But they're looking at the life they lead, the job they have, the responsibilities they have in their home and outside of their home, the other relationships they have with people that not necessarily romantic or sexual, but like, that's my mom and I do that, that's my cousin and I do that whatever, right? And then you turn and look at this power exchange, this dynamic, this kink life, and I do differentiate those things. Some people will have a power exchange, and some people will have a top-bottom situation, and some people are just living their best kinky life, and they've got multiple partners, or they keep it casual, like, it's all of that, right? They will think, well, I'm supposed to do these things because I am this label I have given myself. I identify with this role, submissive, for an example. But half those things don't fit with your life. You either don't have time for them, you don't have the energy for them, you usually pay somebody else to do them for you, and if you do, I'm very happy for you. Jealous, but happy, right? They don't align with your interests. They aren't things you would ever do for anybody. Why do you have to do them? You see what I'm saying? Like, you have this whole bright, colorful life you're hopefully leading. You go, hey, I'm kinky, and here, let me go figure out what that means to me. And then some dumbass on the fucking internet, or at a munch, happens both places, tries to give you some weird laundry list of, oh, well, you're a sub, this is what you do. Fuck that. Let me say the thing that I say a million times. This is a great place for it. Whatever your kink life is, when you're interacting with a partner, you're interacting within your role, submissive, dom, whatever. It's a fucking Venn diagram. There's the stuff you're willing to do, there's the stuff they're willing to do, and then there's the stuff in the center that you're both like, yeah, sure. And there will be stuff that you'd really like to do that your current partner is not interested in. Now or ever, same goes for them. All we're looking for is what's the common ground. If you can find the common ground and build a dynamic relationship, whatever, that is satisfying to you, that works for the life you have, and allows you to grow as a kinkster, then you can decide for yourself, hey, do I want to learn more? Hey, do I want to explore that thing my partner said they were interested in, but I wasn't interested in? Hey, do we want to bring some of these things that didn't fit in our original Venn diagram? Do we want to expand our Venn diagram? Or do you, depending on how you're wired, do you have this Venn diagram with this partner, and then you got another partner over here with a completely separate Venn diagram? That is how this works. There's not a kink activity. There's not a domestic activity. There's not a role-based activity that is standard. None of it. Will many people fit within commonalities? Sure.
Yeah.
Stereotypes exist for a reason. Cliches exist for a reason, right? But there will always be people who are like, do you? That's great. I'm going to be over here doing something completely fucking different. And that they're just as valid as you are. And quite frankly, if you find yourself falling within the, air quote, stereotypical, like what some seem to describe as the, air quote, right way. I'm sorry, I have to gag every time I think about that. What might happen is as you grow confident in yourself, you grow confident in your relationship, you learn more about kink, you start pushing away from those stereotypes. You start doing things that others might go, oh, I didn't know submissive did that. I didn't know you were a dumbass either. But, you know, okay, maybe. Look, I'll be a bitch. You don't have to be. But that's a point that I think a lot of newbies miss. They think there's this checklist and a standard and a way and a thing that everybody does, and then it doesn't fit their life. And instead of going, well, I just won't do that thing. They're either going, I'm clearly not kinky, or they're making themselves miserable doing shit they don't want to do because somebody told them that's what doms do, that's what subs do. Sorry, I have to make the gaggy face.
It's okay.
Anything you'd like to add before I go to my next one? The last one on my list, unless you want to add something, is actual kink activities.
Right.
This is where I want to talk about things you might do as a dom and sub and things you might do as a top bottom, because you can be a dom and still bottom. You can be a sub and still top. In some things, not all things. And that is a thing we'd like people to remember. What say you?
Yeah, yeah. Again, just like you don't like being caned.
I do not.
Imagine if canes were the standard.
I'd be very
Boy,
cranky.
that look was priceless.
I'd be very cranky.
So, they're right there. That shows you the point, of what you can work with, what you can do. All right. You talk about service submissives. Yes, there are many service submissives out there who are willing to do housework, but not everyone is.
Right.
So,
I'm thinking of a current example that we're about to, I think, experiment with a little bit. You are dominant, but you are also a curious motherfucker, and you want to know what shit feels like. And you are currently exploring cock cages for yourself.
yeah.
I won't even be involved in that, most likely. That is a thing that is, and it makes sense that it would be, but it is most often associated with bottoming or submitting. Like, your cock gets locked up and somebody is controlling that key, and somebody is telling you can touch yourself, and somebody is telling you get all that. Or you could just be a curious fuck, do it and go, actually, this feels kind of good. I think I'll just do it to myself. I'm just pulling examples from things people have told me.
Right.
You absolutely can be completely dominant, big D dominant in your power exchange, and also want to get your ass beat with a fucking paddle, because it's not about the submission, air quote that is assumed in being the bottom of impact. It's the sensation. It's the way it relaxes you. It's the whatever. Like, it's the whatever you feel when you experience it.
I mean, let's use rope for example. I like rope. I like tying. I also like to be tied.
How did I not know that? That feels like new information to me.
How could that be? Where have you been?
I've
said this time. Yeah.
I think you've talked to your other kinky friends.
No,
Listen
whatever.
with
Okay.
me.
But yeah, I mean, it's back when I was limber enough, I used to self-tie.
I always thought you were just practicing your ties.
Well, it was a bit of both.
But you liked the sensation.
Yeah.
Now here's what's hilarious. I am a wiggly rope bottom on my best day. No patience. But I could absolutely enjoy seeing you be tied up. I probably wouldn't do the tying. I just don't have interest in it. I'm not trying to accidentally hurt you or anything. You are no less dominant. I'm no less submissive. But also, JB says, I like being tied up. Cool. There's no immediate expectation that I will do that for him as a service.
No.
I mean, could I be talked into it as a service? I'm sure I could. Nor is there this automatic assumption that he's got to go out and find somebody who'll do it for him, or that I'll just switch and do it for him.
No.
You see what I mean? You can like what you like irrespective of your role. Your role within a power exchange with a person does not have to dictate what you want to experience in the actual kink activities that are independent of a relationship, if that makes sense. And I think too many people forget that. It's like, oh, it goes back to I'm a masochist, but I'm not submissive. Valid. I'm submissive, but I don't like pain. Valid. How many of us came into kink and somehow got the message that all doms like giving pain? No, they don't. Some are like, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And all subs are supposed to want pain or accept it. That's the other insidious thing. There's this thing of, oh, you might not like it, but you're submissive, so you're supposed to take it.
Grit your teeth and bear it. Yeah, no.
And I have had too many conversations with people who are like, I'm clearly not submissive because I don't like that. I don't want to do that. No. You get to still be submissive if that's what feels right, and reject this thing over here. So there is not a facet of kink life and experience that is not something you can personalize to who you are as an individual, personalize to the relationship you have with an individual, and the life that you have right now, whatever that looks like. I have no doubt we'll get into this because several people requested it. Let me just throw this out there to all parents with children at home, specifically your small children. Your kink life right now does not look like it could look in 20 years.
Right.
And I think we all know that, but again, I get parents of young children who are like, are we even kinky? How do we make this work? Well, I'm going to be kind of real with you. That's kind of disappointing. You probably don't. You will do a lot less at this stage of life than you will when they don't need you as much anymore.
What it looks like when they are little is going to be different from when they are tweens, different from when they are teenagers, and so on and so on and so on.
Right. And then apparently there's this mythical day that comes when you do not have children in your home anymore. I want to believe in the myth. I have not yet experienced it for myself. For those of you who are either way past that stage, your children, maybe they're having children, or you just never had kids and you're child free, and like, I mean, do I have some envy? Yes. I would not give up my experience as a parent and all of that for anything in the world. But also, do I look at people who are not currently or ever raising children at any stage and go, oh, what must that be like? I can't imagine it. And I don't even let myself dream too far about no kids in the house kink life, but I do imagine there's going to be a lot more nudity. But I don't know if we will do kinky shit on every flat and vertical surface of our home. But I do think JB will be walking around dick out. Like, I just think the clothes will come off. Like, he'll hit the front door, hopefully remember to close it, and just strip down and walk around naked. I do feel like that. Do I think that, there may be parts of our home where there's like an O-ring hanging off of a load bearing something because you had a kink thought and maybe we could do it, right? Like, we will talk about, parenting, but it's true of every stage of life. If you're a college student, you're going to have a completely different kink experience than some of those of us who are like, thinking, do I have enough in my 401k? The answer is no, because I look at the news. But, like every stage of life you're in will in some way change your kink experience, and you move and grow with that. You find, hopefully, the good, the fun, the fulfilling at whatever stage of life you're in, but it will look different all the way through.
And, we're kind of at 50% with the child free.
Yes, except I'm still at the beck and call of one child.
Yeah.
On the weekends.
And don't know yet, but there could be a chance. It's amazing. They have a homing beacon. They find their way back.
I have heard that.
Yeah.
I did not, but I
didn't either, but
you know what I think it is? Were you nice to your children while you were raising them, and they love you and think of your home as their home? They probably come back. Were you a nightmare as a parent, traumatized your children, and they couldn't wait to get out? They're not coming back. Short of having zero place to go on this planet, they're not coming back. Right. That's just my experience. I think JB can relate to that experience. Your mileage may vary. I will say that is an expression to take deep in your soul when talking about other people's kink experiences or listening to people share their kink experiences. Your mileage may vary. Whatever is true for me in this moment of April 16th, 2025 does not have to be true for you, and might not even be true for me on April 17th, 2025. Mileage will always vary. The experiences will always vary. Even if we're 2 people, 3 people, bare bones outline talking about the same experience. I'm a submissive to a daddy dom. Well, that looks very different for me to me than it does for you, right? So I have a couple more notes. Do you have anything else you want to touch on to customize it? Like, find what works for you. Make it up if you have to, right? if you're following the 3 basic rules of kink, communication, consent, and risk assessment, make it fucking up. There's no standard here, and please don't think you have to find it or follow it. Here's a thing that I've said in a few episodes because I got it from a therapist and I use it for my own internal self-talk. It doesn't apply to all situations, but I think it applies here. There is no should in power exchange. What I mean by should you get consent, should you get communication, and should you assess risk? Yes. Blech. Those are the rules. After that, you should do that because you're submissive. Do it because you want to and it fits within your submissive role. Sure. You should do that because you're a top. You should do that because you're into wax play. You should. There are some rough guidelines for how something can. There is a skill set for how to physically do a thing. Yes. There is some broad strokes guidelines for how to be a submissive, how to be a dominant, how to whatever. Yes. But if your internal self-talk is, well, I should want to do this, I should be doing, you're shoulding all over yourself. Because typically if we're telling ourselves, well, I should do this, I should want to do this, we're saying that because we don't want to do it.
Or even better, it should be done that way.
Right, it should be done by whose fucking standard? If it doesn't, again, consent, communication, risk assessment. After that, if it does not fit you, if it does not serve you, it does not fit the life you have, there's no fucking should in it. Mm-hmm. But especially when you're doing self-talk, especially when you're feeling resistant, like, I am submissive, I should do this kind of thing, and yet there's a part of you screaming, but I don't want to. That is information you need to use to figure out what you do want to do. Can you modify this thing that supposedly you should do? Can you fucking reject it? Right? Yes, as humans living in the world, there are plenty of things we have to do that we don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that can still be a little true in kink, but in general, we choose this life, we choose these relationship dynamics, we figure out what we're interested in and into, and then we choose to do those things. So guess what the thing is you shouldn't be having to do? To do a thing you fucking hate. My God, enough of us go to work or have to work with somebody or be around a human being that in any other circumstance we would never choose to do it, right? But we do it because we like to pay our bills, right? Okay, so why are you going to come home and live your kink life and do something that you don't want? You would never choose to do this. You hate every second of what are you doing?
It doesn't satisfy you. Yeah, don't, you know.
What's the point
What's
then?
the point? Like taking a shower with a raincoat on.
Do I put effort in as a service up? Of course I do. Do I sometimes do things when I'm really tired and would rather be sitting and reading my book? Of course I do. But ultimately I'm doing it because I want to. And if I stop wanting to, that's time for a conversation. That's time for a renegotiation. That's time for can we look at this in a different way? Is there another way to do this thing? Anything in your kink life that you are starting to resist and either guilting yourself into doing, avoiding it, or in some way just not feeling good about it, that is information to immediately. If you're in a relationship, stop and talk to your partner. If you're not, go find your kinky bestie and like just hash it out and go, hear me out. Let me think this through. That is information you got to stop and start thinking about and talking about, because that's some part of you telling you that you don't want, this is not right for you. Might have been right 6 months ago. It might be right 6 years from now. It's not right now.
Right.
And that's the thing about kink, air quote, kink is customizable. You can change it on a dime. Right. It can be challenging when you're in a relationship because you wanting a change means they have to agree to that change and be okay with that change. That is not always easy because sometimes the thing you hate is the thing they love. So now there's a negotiation of, can we find a middle ground? Can we find another way to accomplish this? Is there another way I can do a thing and have you feel as good as you do, but I don't have to do a thing I hate? So it's not always a one and done, just stop doing it and it's done. There might be some effort that has to be put in, but that is the reality. There should not be a fucking thing in your kink life you have to do that you don't want to do.
That's true.
And for anybody who wants to get a little some of us overthink, and I know that, so I'm trying to like find the caveats for us overthinkers out here. There are things I agree to that JB can do to me that I don't love, but I am willing to do it. Here's why. One, I don't have to do it all the fucking time. If I had to do a thing I don't love all the fucking time, we're not doing it. I don't want to do that. That's not how I want to play. But two, if it's something that I find another satisfactory feeling from. So the example is JB loves a stingy pain. He likes to see, can that bring a welt up on her skin, and is she going to shriek like a banshee?
Mm-hmm. Can I make her dance too?
It's usually a stingy thing. See, if it's thuddy, I'm going to relax. Like, I'm getting a deep tissue massage. I allow it. I consent to it. Not because I'm enjoying the sensation, but because I'm enjoying giving up control. I'm enjoying enduring it. I want to see, can I endure this for him? Sometimes it's a pure act of submission. I am literally letting him do something to me that I would not let another fucking soul do, and don't even like that much, because I'm finding pleasure in it in other ways.
But you also know that I am not going to abuse that power.
And I also know that I don't have to live with that endurance all the time. I get plenty of what I like. So that makes it easier to sometimes do a thing you like, that I can find a way to go, yeah, I'm willing to do that, right? But that comes, let's say again, communication, consent, and risk assessment. I know what I'm agreeing to. I'm not forced into it. I'm not pressured into it. I'm not guilted into it. My own internal self-talk is not going, well, girl, you should do it. You're the submissive. I have weighed all my options. I've looked at what else can be done. I understand what's happening, and I understand and can articulate why I'm willing to do it, as long as it doesn't have to become my new reality. So, for my overthinkers out there who are like, but sometimes I do a thing. It's okay. You can do things you don't really want to do for your partner. But again, you should not be pressured, guilted, forced into it. You have to choose it, and you need to have some idea of why you're willing to choose it. And it has to be balanced with getting what you want. That's the other thing that's not a customizable thing, is a truism. Everybody involved in this, whatever your dynamic is, should be getting some of what they want. You don't get all of what you want all the time, but everybody needs to get enough of what they want to be satisfied, happy, want to keep coming back and doing this.
Because it's a compromise, you know.
Yes. So. Yes, it can be a very pleasurable compromise. It can be a very satisfying compromise. But, you know, I know people talk about this. We talked about this probably 400 episodes ago. It usually comes up in conversations about, like, ethical non-monogamy. But it's this fact that most of the time one partner cannot satisfy every need another partner has. In some cases, the solution to that is it works for everybody involved. Ethical non-monogamy. Go find another play partner, whatever. Sometimes that's not the answer. You're monogamous and want to stay monogamous. Please do. What that means is the partner you're with has to get enough of what they need, and you have to get enough of what you need for this to be worth it, for it to be satisfying, for you to want to keep this going. And sometimes you'll come across people who cannot give you enough of what you need. They might not be the right partner for you. But also they might give you more of what you need outside of a kink context, and just enough of what you need for kink to be happy.
Keep it, yeah.
And it might not be like this overly active 24/7 kink life, but you're happy. That's all that matters. So, yeah. I don't think I lost steam. I did not lose my train of thought. I think I didn't know how to, like, semicolon and then book into this, right? Part of it is because a lot of the things I think to like points I come to mind when we're talking about this, we've done those episodes. BDSM is a journey. You're always learning something. You can shift. We've done the episodes on how your dynamic can and will shift over time. We've done many episodes on that because that's been our reality. There's, you know, a labels and titles episodes. There's the, you know, figuring out your role and what does that mean for you. There's, like, every point I want to make, that comes to mind to make is like, oh, but we've made that point. We spent an hour and a half on that point. I'm just hoping that for anybody who this is new information for, or it's validation, like the little voice in your head was saying it, but you didn't have enough people around you agreeing and confirming this for you. that's what I hope you get out of it, but I just need you to know it's deeper than that. There's more to it. There's nuance to every fucking thing. I think that's why we and this podcast exist. I did not know that's what we were starting. I think that's what we do here. But yeah, your kink life can be literally whatever you want, and that your partner you have or the partners consent to.
Mm.
It does not have to look like anybody else's. It probably won't. It probably shouldn't. You know? And I get the messages from submissives who are like, oh my gosh, you remind me so much of me. Oh my gosh, it sounds like me. And yeah, personalities can be different, or similar. But I promise you our lives are different. Mm-hmm. Because true. Even if line by line similarities, you know, you've got 2 kids in this similar situation, you're a similar age or similar life stage, we're going to make different decisions. We're going to see things differently. We've got different life experiences that, you know, shape how we view the world and how we want to move through it. So all of this is unique to each of us, even when there are similarities. And I say, hey, let's embrace those similarities. Let's find community with those similarities, but also let's embrace the differences and learn from one another. That is why we often recommend, if you're new and you're like, I need ideas on this, and can I do that? Please go be where the people who are kind of doing what you want to be doing are doing it, right? If an in-person group is possible for you, great. If not, online is fine. But you're a dom who wants to learn how to be a better dom, go be around doms that you respect, right? You're submissive who wants to like learn how to blah blah. Go be around people who are talking about those things and see what they're doing. That doesn't mean you have to do what they do, but it will spark those thoughts of, oh, here's how I could do it. Here's how it fits into my life, right?
Find your tribe.
Find your tribe.
There you go.
Okay, I think I'm done. Have you got anything? I know it was a whirling dervish for this one.
It was. That's fine. Did good. At least I think so.
That's all that matters. I mean, obviously, it's not all that matters because we ask y'all to leave like likes and comments and reviews and shit. Clearly, we want y'all to like it, but
right.
From a personal "can I sleep tonight" standpoint.
Yeah. So, are we good?
I guess. It's not usually for me to say.
True. Keep it kinky, y'all.
And we'll see you next week. Will we? Yeah, we will. Your button pushing seems to be not pushing buttons.
Yeah.
And you're a button pusher from way back. You're like, fuck it.
It won't let me go back while it's recording.
It won't let you do what you want to do.
No.
So, yeah. Ta-da! What have you got for the bonus section? Oh, can I talk to the crickets? I wasn't actually talking to them. I was talking to you. I didn't even have anything to say. I was looking at the comments to see what I missed while we were focused elsewhere.
You may talk to the crickets.
Okay, I don't have anything to say. What do you want to talk about? That's what I was asking.
I don't have a whole lot this week. Things have been a little cray-cray, a little busy, a little upended.
Yeah, you were not feeling very good last week, but you seem to be feeling better.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something I learned that is both validating and a little explains kind of what you and I are personally going through?
Okay.
It's a little depressing. Okay, so apparently sometime in your mid-40s, hi, that's me, and sometime in your early to mid-60s, that's you. There are things
worlds collide. No.
Things called aging bursts, I think is how I've seen said in the headlines. And it's this idea that there's kind of a cluster of years where the aging process kind of explodes a little bit, and then you know, in general, find a new normal. And we're both over here going, have I lost my mind? Why can't I do this? What is happening? And you say a lot, I can't do things that... And I'm always like, well, yeah, because you're in your 60s. But also, if you're going through an aging burst, as I am going through an aging burst, as a teenager is at the height of puberty, and admitted to us the other day, Mom, I can't stop thinking about sex. And I was like, I get it. Sometimes, same. So we are all going through aging bursts in some way, and I don't know how the roof hadn't been blown off this.
I know.
So we come through it.
It's been an interesting week, to say the least. and we're only halfway through it.
I know. And we are so out of our groove with having a fan in this window that is behind us where we're recording that we almost forgot to turn it off before we started recording something, and then clearly almost forgot to turn it back on. And can't remember to tell y'all, hey, that hum, that's a fan. And look, it's working. It's doing its best.
It is. Yeah, we found we were going to try and do without a fan in the windows, you noticed for quite a while, but we got a brief taste of what summer is going to be like, and we're like, no, we need that fan back. So
as the internet has said, OMG Wix is the account that you and I get this from. There's a lot of Florida humor on the internet. Right now, Florida is just preheating. Like, for anybody who's traveling here or who is new to Florida and like, oh my God, it's so hot. No.
This is the
preheat.
Yeah.
The oven is set for 500. We're only at about 250 right now. We got a ways to go. And it will only get worse from here. I am almost sweating through my shirt right now. There's a wet patch. It's gross. Because I have no shame, I will happily share this little tiny story that's nothing, but the connection was made in my brain. Sweat. I had my mammogram, my annual, last week. Fine, no big deal. I hate getting it. I haven't met a person with boobs yet who's like, hell yeah, let's go to the mammogram. But I think it's more of the strangers a little too physically close to my body, even before they grab my boob. Okay. And if you've never had a mammogram and probably never will, or just haven't yet, yes, they pick, I guess maybe if you have small ones, they don't. But when you got big ones, and gravity is not being kind to them anymore, they pick it up and put it on the flat part. Ask me how I know. I've had 4 of these. I started sweating before she even told me to untie the little toppy thing I had to wear. And I knew part of it was nerves, but part of it is the increasing hot flashes I've been having. And I just went, I am so sorry, I'm in the middle of a hot flash right now. The sweat was pouring off my damn face. She goes, it's fine. It happens. I hope so at the mammogram place, where I was the youngest person in the general, we all are tits out waiting area. She goes, just make sure it's not too wet under there. And I'm like, this is the highlight. This is the highlight of getting a mammogram. Taking the little dressy thing that's kind of like a hospital gown, but it's a top size, and just rubbing under your boobs to make it not so wet for the stranger who's going to literally pick it up. And then my favorite, anybody who's had a mammogram probably can relate to this. Okay, no, move towards me. Okay, put your hand here. Hold the machine. Okay, forward. We have to get the whole breast in. Yep, even the back fat part. The whole thing. Okay, hold still. Don't breathe. And when I don't think I'm getting enough air, panic. I would have to time the don't breathe remark with a deep inhale. The moment she said don't breathe, I could hold it. She was never as fast as she thought she was. My brain was like, you have no oxygen, you have no oxygen, you have no oxygen. I did. Right as I was about to go, I can't do this anymore, she'd go, okay, breathe. Okay, I'm breathing now. So, yeah, you could see why maybe I get a little sweaty before they go to do that, because I think I'm my 4th one. Actually, probably my 5th, because one year I had to go back because they didn't like the quality of the images. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway. That's the thing on my mind.
Right.
What else? Your dog is sacked out over here.
Oh, yeah.
On my side.
Oh, she's on your side?
But still with an ear up.
Oh,
so
okay.
She can
so
be aware.
Not truly, yeah.
She even, from this angle, I don't know if this is what it really is. This angle, yes, her eyes are closed, but what they appear to be is like little kids scrunched up. I'm going to make them think I'm asleep.
Yeah.
But the ear is up. So.
No.
What else? Friday night live stream.
Yep, got that coming up. Yeah, I'm still every evening sitting outside on the porch right now and subjecting neighbors to the twangs of ukulele.
Neighbor on the right side She's so chill.
I know.
The neighbor on the left side is probably a very nice little old lady. I don't know, but her fucking dogs yap almost all day. So I feel like play ukulele, well or bad. They deserve whatever you do. Oh, God.
Well, I hope it's not a testament to my playing, but, you know, when I go out there and I start, you know, strumming on the stupid thing, that's when the dog starts barking.
Right, because they sensed movement, and these are small dogs, so they are afraid of everything, and they think if they can see it, sniff it, or hear it, it's theirs. The doggy version of Yertle the turtle. Oh my God, they're so annoying. Though. And you know, maybe it's because we were lucky when we had Saki. If you're new here, first dog, teeny tiny, our old chill dude. We got him when he was 10.
Min Pin
He was just
mix. Min Pin Chihuahua
little
mix.
guy. You couldn't pick him up. He didn't really like that. But chill old dude. But even he could get yappy if he thought you looked near his yard and he sensed it.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have to see you. He just had to sense it. But Saki never did that shit.
No.
Never
No,
did that
no,
shit.
no, 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 no. No, he did not. He did not. No. And they do get annoying. And I know several of the other neighbors have.
Oh yeah, that's like the neighborhood like thing of, oh God, those fucking dogs are barking again. It's right up there with 2 doors down that direction when that neighbor had a beautiful but very unruly chocolate lab who kept getting out. We would all watch out for this dog. We did not want her to get hurt. And she really was a sweetheart, but she was young and completely untrained and undisciplined. And so the whole neighborhood is like watching out for her, trying to get her back in so she didn't get hit. But it's also like, God damn it, keep your dog in your house. My favorite, there's strays that live in our neighborhood that get fed by a neighbor on the right side, several houses down.
Yeah.
And she takes care of most of them, but one of them kind of comes this way towards our end of the neighborhood and sits in what I call JB's bestie's house, because that's who he likes to do some gossiping with. And I appreciate that. Please bring the gossip home. I do not want to participate in the gossip. I don't want to stand there for it, but please bring it home and relay it to me. But that cat who goes between these 2 houses, named Butterball, does not look like a butterball. I don't know where that name came from, but you can, usually at the evening, but really at any given point in the day, you can hear 1 or 2 or 3 voices going, Butterball, Butterball, and they're coming from different sides of the neighborhood. I'm like, God damn it, Butterball does not look like a butterball. I feel like there was stuff and I've forgotten all the stuff. Or it was stuff that was like, I've already talked about it to the people who need to hear me talk about it. I don't know. I feel like there's stuff, but I don't have stuff. And then, of course, you have to like walk the line of don't talk too much stuff or you won't have stuff for the Friday Night Live stream.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of hope some stuff happens between now and then so I have stuff to talk about. But I'm hoping I get some. I had to call 2 different doctor's offices yesterday for different situations, like completely like unrelated things, but like lots of phone calls and messages online and waiting, and I'm not patient. I would like to think that by Friday, those will be sorted and I can stop thinking about them. So, okay, I guess we can be done.
I guess we're good. Yeah.
Thanks for being here,
Thanks
especially
for
to the bitter
joining us.
end. We hope this series is helpful to somebody. If nothing else, we hope it can affirm some shit you already knew, but maybe you just need to hear somebody else go, yes, you're right. That works for me often. So, yeah, okay.
All right.